All right, welcome to another video. I'm RustyCG, and today we have HQ-Ken right here. He's the finalist at the Gundam Regionals in Norfolk in Virginia. And can you just present yourself and tell me about how was your experience and how did you do?
Yeah, no, it was a great experience. Really well run tournament. I want to shout out the organizers, Bandai, and also the judges that were there. Very professional, extremely quality judges. So I know some people in some events have had issues, but I really think this was one of the best run events that I've been to, and I've been to several regionals so far. But yeah, no, I'm KenSama. I played a blue white, what I call mid range or aggro academy, and we came in third. Unfortunately, we didn't come in second, but we did our best. And shout out to all my opponents. There were some really cool matches. We'll get a little more in depth to them, but I know you guys want to see the deck list, so we'll get right into it.
Perfect. So maybe you're gonna go through like your levels and everything
Yep.
like that, and we're gonna go from there and breaking down. No, maybe we're gonna just go back for like I want to know the matchup first, cause
Yeah.
yeah.
So round one, I played against a purple red Barbatos Impulse Gundam strategy that was really unique. He used a lot of commands to remove a lot of my early bodies. It was one of my luckier matchups where I drew multiple of the Mikaeses early. And against decks that aren't dropping, two on turn two, the Mikaeus ends up being my favorite early game option. It breaks base. It quickly becomes a 4/4 in this deck. As you'll see, we run plenty of commands. But that card is advantageous against everything that's not playing early 2/2s. And even in the 2/2s, it trades favorably. So, like, I still like playing it early, but as you'll see, over time, I've kind of shifted more blockers into my deck, which allows me to trade more favorably into the aggro decks and also preserve my heavier HP bodies.
Yeah.
So, in this matchup, I immediately saw he wasn't dropping 2/2s on turn two. So I say, okay, he's playing purple, but he's also playing like close combat and improved technique. So he's removing my bodies regularly, which is something that obviously is a struggle for some decks that don't run enough units or
Hmm.
enough draw, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
But
Uh,
just a quick side note, what made you build this deck?
I've been playing Academy since set one, so a lot of people know me as the Academy guy. I've been a long time Magic player. I have a whole
Yeah.
Magic sleeve here, so I've been
Mhm.
playing Magic since 1996, and I've always liked the color blue because it draws cards. And in a card game, what more things do you want to do than draw cards? In
Yeah.
my opinion, I
Yeah.
know there's some differing opinions there, but
Hmm.
card advantage is king, and that's where I kind of come up with the concept of this deck. I want to do at least one or two early 2-for-1s where I'm getting more value out of my units than you,
Hmm.
and then I want to keep filling up my hand with things like Show of Resolve and the Gundam aerial rebuild that allows you to pick it up and do it again.
Hmm.
For me, it was one of the most appealing draws to this deck. And in the first meta that I was playing Gundam, it was heavily dominated by Unicorn blockers, the blue white blockers package, and then Wing Gundam Zero. And this was before kind of Merida came out to answer some of that. But also, of course, you saw 1 Year War. But 1 Year War wasn't really around yet. There were the diehards that were trying to make all the Zaft and all the Xeon and Neo Xeon plays. But it hadn't really been so established yet. People were really on the blocker package and were really on the Wing Zero. So I was originally actually playing the Demi's Choo Choo Trainer with the Choo Choo the Chitori, and I loved it because early game I had a strong unit that could break base. I can link with it to make it attack immediately, and I get to dig deeper into my deck to find those cards because I quickly noticed in Gundam created most of the card games I play. Draw power is something that's very limited.
Hmm.
And starting with 5 cards, where a lot of games start with more, you have to make the most out of every card that you get. And sometimes you want cards at other points, like you don't want 3 Wing Zeros in your hand at the start of the game. And other times you want to be able to filter for those exact answers because maybe there's a unit that if you leave it alone, maybe Barbatos first form comes to mind, a unit you don't want to let stay around, you need to quickly be able to answer it. So I was on the Chitoris, I was running more like Gundam Ferax. I hadn't added like the Ails and the blockers and stuff yet because I was trying to answer the blocker meta. So I had blue-white aggro, and it was my first idea of like, my top end's going to be aerial to get back the... I was also playing 2 Witch and the Brides at that point because obviously a lot of blockers. Being able to remove a body was really powerful. So I was really focusing on commands and early attacks to try and get around blockers. As the meta kind of shifted, the Merida control, the Banshee control, whatever you want to call it, came out, and I immediately was like, whoa, I can't play Choo Choo. It has 1 HP. It's a free removal for all these people who are now also adding things like gun tanks and Angsha, which we know are powerful cards. So the deck has shifted many, many times, but I've been on Academy since the beginning, basically.
So like how did you survive the whole like 1 Year War all the way to like Blurple into Wing and like
Yes.
how did you do?
So I did really well, actually. I was winning mini locals. Most people knew me as the guy that like, oh, Ken's here. He's probably going to win with his Academy nonsense that nobody knows what he's doing. But yeah, that was when I started to incorporate more cards to answer those specific cards. And I found that if I could trade favorably once or twice early, then I'm going to have more cards than them into the mid game. And if I survive into the mid game, which with things like Unforeseen, where I'm forcing them to just give me a body into one of my blockers, or I'm swinging in and using the Unforeseen to just make it a more favorable trade, I found that I had the action economy over them because I was using my resources more efficiently, especially with things like Soletta, which allow you to untap a resource. Again, the draw for me to the deck was, what does Soletta do? 2 HP and I get a resource back? Okay. That sounds great when I want to play multiple Show of Resolves.
Yeah. That's insane. Like I went into one guy. I'm not gonna go more in details, but he went into the new Suletta, the green side of it.
Oh,
and
okay.
The deck. He actually showed me like the whole loop that you can do. It's just I'm not gonna go more in details, but we're gonna talk more about it after.
Yes.
But I get it. Like the
draw was there, and I thought it then. I'm super confirmed on it after this weekend that the additional 2 health from the pilot like Soletta is more valuable in my deck more often than the +2/+1. The +2/+1 is more for its ability. So like I'm playing, you'll see it, I'm playing Amuro, of course, our boy.
the best pilot in the game.
Yes. One, because it links with the best unit in the game, which is probably Grandpa Gundam, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then it has an on-play ability to arrest something. So now if you're setting up for a future turn, I can take care of that target. As the metas move to more go wide, that's where I included the Kira. So now I can minus your guy, get a more favorable trade. The +2/+1 on a Lifrith is obviously going to be notable. Yeah, we can just say Lifrith is just a well-statted card.
Yeah.
If you're playing white, you're playing Lifrith because there isn't a better option yet. But
exactly.
Set 4 is around the corner.
Yeah. And what about, then we're going to go back to round 2.
Okay, so yeah, we won round 1, obviously. Round 2, Afeg. I'm not 100% on... No, this was our first Justice Atherin control matchup. So this is where we played 3 Mikaeuses into 3 improved techniques and just had to start spending Show of Resolves early to get units on the board. And I knew what was happening. If they get into their late game, it's going to be much tougher for me. So I went as wide as I could, as fast as possible, and I linked Solettas on things as quickly as possible. So now that it would require more than 1 card to answer my unit. And as we got past that initial Mikaeus phase where he played the multiple improved techniques, I was able to just flood him out, and I knew that I had to win before he was getting down Providences and these units that when played are going to deal 3 damage to my unit. So avoiding that era of the game was my goal, and that's why I built this, is because I think it's the perfect example of a mid-range deck. I can switch from defensive to aggressive at any point I want to, and within 2 turns, I'm guessing either you bricked or you're not playing aggro if you don't have units immediately. I think that most people can probably make that safe assumption. So I realized quickly I needed to play as many units as possible. So I prioritized getting the Rick Diaz in play because I wanted to break the base quickly, and then I started dropping Lifris and using striker packs to make more Lifris as well, because at 4 HP, you're not removing my body with one improved technique. Now you need a close combat and something. And at one point he did play a close combat after bursting a 2 damage. He did play the close combat after bursting a Battle of Aces. Okay. So like he was able to still get value in that phase, but I quickly reached into my aerials, my rebuilds, and then that was when I was able to close the game out. And if it had gone much longer, it probably would have gone in his favor, but I did my best to get him to 2 or less shields before level 6. That was my goal.
Yeah.
So I knew links are great, but I need to use pilots right now to make sure that I'm not losing. So I just went as fast as I could, and it worked out.
Yeah.
So that one was my first matchup against Athearn Control, and I did play that 3 times. Eventually, the 3rd time in the final, I lost.
That's insane. Like I saw you were shaking your head, like but we're gonna go more into detail after.
Yeah,
but
I had so many pilots. The judge actually, I heard from somebody else that the judge saw my hand and was like shaking his head. I didn't see it, but I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I saw the judge's face. Like I like you were shaking your head. I thought you were doing poker face or something like that, just to bluff. Yeah. But after that, when I saw the judge's face, I was like, okay. Something is wrong.
Yeah, and we'll get into that matchup too. Fall Exia, I'm pretty sure that was my first matchup against. I don't want to say this incorrectly. Round 3, I think I played Blurple. I want to say.
You don't have to be exact. Like, we can just go like maybe like the most
memorable
impactful matchup. That like maybe like that you almost won or like you completely destroyed or
the first Blurple matchup I went into, I didn't necessarily have the nuts, but I knew that he didn't have the nuts because he missed the 2 bodies on turn 2, and then turn 3 he played a 2/2 and then also a unlinked Barbatos first form. So I'm like, he just put a first form on the board, and I did a really weird play where I had a Lifrit that I had blocked his first 2/2, and then he pinged it down to 1 HP, because I think he also played a gun tank. I guess that's why he didn't play the second unit on turn 1. He wanted to hold the gun tank, which I think in most situations probably would have been right. In this situation, he didn't get much value out of delaying that card because he swung. I blocked with the Lifrit, so it went down to 2 HP. He gun tanks it down to 1 HP. And then I play Rick Diaz, and I pair link Rick Diaz with the Amuro to rest the first form, and I swing the 1 HP Lifrit into it, and now he's lost this. And now I have a 5/4 Rick Diaz that is keeping him from being able to attack. And I held him off for at least 3 turns with just that Rick Diaz, basically, while I just built my board up.
That's insane.
So I really thought about that play for a while because I also had an Amuro target to link. I had a Grandpa Gundam in hand, and I was like, do I want to waste this Amuro right now? And I was like, to get that first one off the board, you know I do. So I play it, I remove the first form, we see his face. Next turn he plays 2 more units, and no, I think he plays he plays 2 more units. He plays the Grandpa Gundam and another 2/2. And I'm like, okay, so he has a Grandpa Gundam, but he didn't use it to rest my Rick Diaz and just wipe it out. But it did have 5 attacks, so it would be no value in that. So I'm like, okay, he's got Amuro in hand. I'm doing my thing. Top deck, the second Amuro. So now I'm like, okay, so I play Gundam and I link Gundam and I kill your Gundam and I repair up. So I was like, man, I just top decked that Gundam. Like that. You just
sealed the game.
Yes,
like you sealed
basically.
The game. Yeah.
And so I was like, at that point, I knew he was behind, and he just saw no pilots. He just kept playing like Grandpa's and Mikazuki targets. He saw no pilots. So I started getting really worried as when I'm able to get his units, but he can't swing, so none of his units are tapping. So I'm having to deal with, he's getting wide while I'm also trying to get wide but I know that this is a dangerous matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is round 3, by the way. This is the blue-purple match that I remember.
Like between let's say 3 and 5, 3 and 6 round, or like.
It might have been round 5 or 7.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, one of those two. The first blue-purple match, I smashed that guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was exactly, but I won the first blue-purple match really handily.
No offense, but
the blue-purple match that I remember was the guy was not super high rolling, but he was hitting the high roll. The first 2 blue-purple matches, both players didn't see that crazy high roll, and I just outvalued them consistently. I saw more shows. I rebuilt. I did exactly what my deck wants to do. The blue-purple match that I do remember is he was on a semi-high roll with a double play, and this is when I saw the Amuro that I needed to just get through. So this is the most memorable blue-purple match. But and shout out to the player because he struggled through it, and I could see his frustration as I'm just getting these chips, and I'm getting further ahead, and his hand's running low, and I'm worried now when I start swinging at life. I'm like, he still hasn't seen pilots. So if I'm swinging at life because he's getting wide now,
if you give him an
I'm
Amuro,
also getting wide, but like I know I'm gonna give him targets, and he's got a full board, and so I think he had 5 units on board. I swung the only non-blocker that I had at that point. I think it was the only non-blocker I had. I had a lot of blockers at that point. It was aerial. I had Lifrith. I had, I think I might have had 2 aerials even. One that was linked and one that wasn't. So, like, I had a really strong board, but at the same time, he could threaten my life if he saw the right card. So I'm still hesitant on whether or not I want to swing into shields. But I swing with the one, it was the NT1, which I actually got a crazy value on. He was like, damn, that you also got the draw. I played one NT1, and it worked every single time I got the extra draw. Every time I played it, I was able to get the extra draw.
I'm not a big fan of NT1, but...
Another unit with Repair 2, when you can put a Soletta on it to get the ping effect and now restand a resource, and it has 6 HP.
Yeah.
With Repair 2, you're gonna like NT1, I promise, if you play this deck. I don't know that I'd go up to 2, but the 1 was so valuable. I had added it last minute before the last new type challenge, and I loved it. And it was on a recommendation of another one of my buddies, Cooper, who was there this weekend. And well, he didn't finish third yesterday. Today, him and his teammate, another guy from Connecticut, won the 2v2. And so they took home some big prizing as well.
Yeah,
so
those big prizes.
Really, really proud of them. But he's the one who recommended the NT1, and he was playing the O before, and he was explaining to me why he liked NT1. He's like, and also it's another Amuro target. And I was like, I only ever run the 4 Gundams because I think it's the most valuable target for Amuro. And I use Amuro a lot on my other units just to get the rest ability, just to get the +2/+1, break that base, whatever it is, just to keep the tempo in my favor. Because this deck wants your opponents play your game and not their game. And if they're playing their game, it's a lot harder for you to win. So you really have to control the tempo. But yes, I swing the first, the NT1 Amuro to hand. And I'm like, shit, he has the Amuro now. I know he has it. And I decide now, do I commit everything into life and just say, he's going to rest my units, I'm going to rest my units? Or do I keep all of these blockers up so the Amuro is way less impactful because I have more choices on how to trade favorably when you swing into me? Which is why this eventually, I've always been a go wide kind of player. I do like having more units on the board. So like, the idea for the Academy deck for me was always go wide. The first version was running 4 of the Gundam aerial that cost less if you have 4 commands in the trash. And I would show of resolve, swing with this Soletta unit, drop 3 of these aerials for 1 each, and they're 3/3/3s. And it was like, I would do that on turn 5.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So like turn 4 show, turn 5 show into 3 aerials. And
That's
it's like,
insane.
oh, he's got 3 aerials. So now my board's filled on turn 5. And going into turn 6, I'm hitting you 6 times.
That's crazy.
Wing 0 ended up being so prevalent in the meta that those eventually came out and became Gundam Pharax because I wanted to, not all Gundam Pharax, I played 2 Pharax. But anyway, I switched the deck to everything in this deck needs to have 4 HP.
Yeah.
Because I want to survive wing, and I'm not playing that hyper meta strategy where like they're dead on turn 4 or 5, because I want the higher HP units. So it's taking me a little longer to get that damage in against Wing Zero, especially with the number of blockers that they're also playing. So I needed my units to survive Wing Zero. And then to take away the option for my opponent to play Wing Zero as a viable thing for a turn, because I can play Wing Zero and I'm going to kill those two, Leo tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else is going to be at 1 HP. And it's like, then he just kills me still. So now I have to play blockers and delay Wing Zero again. Yeah. And that was my plan. It's just keep delaying Wing Zero and not let them get that value, and then they will die.
Yeah.
And it worked out for me. That's why I kept brewing the deck, mm-hmm. kept playing it. I think that was the meta. I went to a regional with the previous version of this list. It was big Wing Zero meta. And I went 7-2. And the only deck that I lost to was a really impressive what's his name? Epion. Yeah. It was a really impressive Epion list. The bane of my deck's existence. When that Epion comes down, now he's getting 2 bodies and 2 cards. I can't keep up with that. Yeah. Even with the strategy that I want, the Epion absolutely blew me out. And mm-hmm. My second loss was to a Wing Zero deck that I never had any business losing to. But I opened after Mulligan 3 shows, 2 Amuros, and then drew a 4th show and was like, oh.
The RNG of Gundam.
I got that player to 1 life.
Wow.
So, like, it was mind-boggling to me that I even had any right to be in that game.
Yeah.
But, like, I knew I lost that match after the Mulligan.
Yeah.
It was clear.
Yeah.
And when you're running, at that point, I think I was running either 15 or 16 commands.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, when you're running 16 commands, you know you're going to see commands. You know? Yeah. So, like, that variance is there, but for the most part, I felt like my ratios were good. Mm-hmm. So I didn't adjust the deck much then. I went to more new type challenges, and this is when I started to have to adjust to 1 Year War mm-hmm. and the first edition of Political, which I still think was, at the time, one of the best decks. Even without Adept, that deck was already very, very good. Mainly because it takes use of the best card in the game, Show of Resolve, mm-hmm. And Amuro and Gundam, but, it makes sense to me that I had to shift to a little bit more on the blocker package, and that's where the Aerials and later the Rick Diaz's, but I went up in striker packs as well. I had gone down at that point to 1 Witch and the Bride, and then went down to 0. That card's really good, and I learned how good that card was when Banshee Control, the first edition in set 1 came out, because I was able to use the Witch and the Bride to put a Banshee that had already bottom decked 12 into someone's hand and mm-hmm. in the entire turn. So I had already realized that this was a good answer to that. So when I saw that Banshee was coming back this meta, I had been at 0 Witch and the Brides and went back up to 1. And I like that because with the aerial rebuilds, you can get it back when you need it. So like, it could be an early overflowing target, or you can hold it in your hand and remove that blocker, or trade favorably here. End of turn, you want that untapped? No, I'm going to put it back in your hand. Mm-hmm. So I obviously don't love it when it's your only answer to a linked unit coming at you, because most of the time in the late games, players will have enough to replay those cards. So that's the reason I didn't really go back mm-hmm. up to 2.
Yeah, maybe we should show the deck list at the same time, because you're going through the deck list, and maybe we should go like the cards and the deck list at the same time, and we're gonna go back to the matchups.
All right, so we'll do that first then, so you guys can see it. All right, so first up for Micaeus, it links
you put
with
the other side.
Oh yeah, sorry. We'll do it like this. Whoop. For the Micaeus here, mm-hmm. It links with any Academy trait. Mm-hmm. So having a 3/2 with a link already, I think, is a powerful ability. And usually you're not going to have insane stats for a card that's going to have a link and be at this level. Mm-hmm. Micaeus, I think, is kind of unique in that not only does it have great stats, they get better while you're doing your strategy. Mm-hmm. So this card has always been a 4-of for me in this deck, mm-hmm. and will continue to always be a 4-of. That one's kind of non-negotiable. I think We probably have the same answer here with the Lifrith. Too well statted for the cost. For the cost and level, I think Gundam Lifrith is one of the best cards in the game. And it works with my strategy, and we'll talk a little bit more after I show you.
You can leave it like a stack like 4, like so you can see it properly.
Okay.
Like all, if you don't want to hide your HQ logo, like you can just.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Team HQ guys, check us out. We'll be having more content soon. So yeah, we do have the 4 Gundam Lifriths. That's always been in the deck. One of our additions, as we went into GDO2, had been the Rick Diaz, and we play that at 3. I like this unit because I was a believer in Zawart before, especially in my deck strategy. I am almost always with my early units trading into yours and trying to trade favorably. So while Lifrith is often a 1-for-1, a lot of times I can take a higher value target out, something that's on a later level. So I loved Zawart in the beginning, but I hated the fact that you can't swing at life when you need to. So Rick Diaz fills that job. He breaks base as a level 3 2-drop. And if you, first of all, the turn you play him, he presents value because he's a blocker. And on those turns where you don't want to swing, like when you're playing against Blurple and you have blockers up where their units will die and yours won't, often they might not even attack. So I have more value when I choose not to attack because I still have a blocker. So that's why I like the go wide with blocker strategy. And so Rick Diaz fit that strategy perfectly. We have 4 of course, the Grandpa Gundam. Let's move these over here. I don't know if I need to say much about this card.
It's one of the most broken cards combined with Amuro. So
if you've never played with Gundam and someone's like, and it repairs too, and it buffs itself along with everybody else, and that's Deering pair, they would be like, wait, you're lying, right? Yeah. None of those cards are this powerful. And then we go into our higher level units. We are playing 4 of the Ale Strikes. Again, we're about stats. So a 4/4 on a level 5 for 4 energy means that this can come down on your turn 4 if you're going second and present a body that's bigger than anything that came before it. Pretty understandable. A lot of people have turned to this card. It has an incredible wind paired ability with level 4 or higher, which is all of our pilots. So putting a Soletta on this presents a 5/6 that can't be rested by Amuro, that has blocker, that bounced a unit, and now has the ability to swing for 5 and untap my resource. So now that's a free unforeseen if I want it. We are playing 1 of the Gundam NT1. This is a new addition after going to a local new type challenge. I was thinking about it the wrong way. At first, I didn't think, well, I have no other ping. There's not a whole lot of ways for me to set this up. And then I thought, but wait, I'm playing blockers. So, like, I can chump with a half-dead Lifrith to put 2 damage on something, like a Linked Mikazuki.
And finish it off.
Well, it would already die to a Gundam that has a damage on it. But, say a 3 health target. Yeah. You know, I can chump like with this, or a 4 health target.
An Angsha or a Rizal or something.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll get into Rizal, too. That is one of the hardest cards for us to deal with. And I think people should be running more of that card because of the stats. And I think it's kind of fallen off because the pings are very valuable.
Yeah, we have one local player that loves playing 8 Rizal. Yeah. So that's he's like the 8 Rizal guy. And
that card is just so well statted that it's going to trade into anything almost before level 6. And it's going to, at the very least, 1-for-1 that. And if you can, swing, kill a Lifrith, I'm not going to block with that Lifrith. Yeah. So now you're getting in for free damage. But now with this in hand, I am going to block with that Lifrith. I'm going to give you the body because I want the draw. Yeah. So like I was thinking about it wrong at first. And when I started thinking about the fact that, no, I'm actually putting damage on targets through the blocker mechanic to set this up. And so I'll decide whether it's a Rick Diaz that blocks or a Gundam Lifrith that blocks to put you at that 1 HP so I can set up the Gundam NT1. So this card,
they'll never expect the ping.
Like they don't expect it.
DC blockers, I'm like, you're not gonna play gun tank on top of that.
Actually, at one point I was playing 2 gun tanks in this deck. Wow. Before NT1 came out, actually, because, and that's why I don't know why I didn't catch on to it sooner. A lot of it was I didn't want to put more higher level units into the deck to make it brickier, because we would love to play more aerial rebuilds. I absolutely adore this card. I want to run 4 in a deck if that meta will allow it. Currently, we are at 2. We've been at 4 before. We've been at 3 before. Currently, we're at 2 because of this card. We're actually playing 2 of the aerial rebuilds level 7. Because if we're... And it was mostly a overflowing target. It was pitched a lot early because... it's too early for you, you know? We're playing an early overflowing. We see this, we get rid of it. At the level 7 stage of the game, you're presenting this to your opponent and you're saying, you have to deal with this. It will kill you if you don't answer it. The Daring Pair blocker effect has been relevant in the past, was not relevant at all yesterday. I want to attack with this card. So, like, I really don't understand the way they set this up where when it's paired it has blocker and it always has high maneuver. I love it.
Yeah.
But I think it would almost make more sense if you made it a blocker that when paired has high maneuver. Yeah. I think the card would be even more playable then. But hey, I played for the high maneuver. Yeah. Also, it's a 5/5 body that I can drop in the late game and have an additional link with Soletta. So I'm actually running 8 Soletta links. So with the Micaises and the 4 aerials, I can see that late game when my opponent's like, he just needs a link to win. He just needs a link to win. And they're like, I'll put down a blocker. And it's like, well, high maneuver goes right over that. Yeah. And so late game, this is one of my best finishers. It closed out several games. The match, I was playing Wing Zero right before the final, and I was looking for that one out. I had them at the no life. They were putting up their blocker wall, and I was just going wider and going wider, but I couldn't close out the game. And I had kind of gotten a little flooded on pilots at that point, so I'm like, any link unit, and I go, and I'm like, please don't let me see these cards right here. Basically, the only 7 cards in the deck don't have a link. So of my pilot, of my units, only 7 don't have a link, and it's Lifrith and Diaz, and we talked about why they're in the deck. Super relevant stuff. So, like, not only a link, but also going to give me high maneuver, that's going to close out a game. The aerial rebuild, I can rebuild the Witch and the Bride to get that character out of the way, and now it's guaranteed game. Or I can just go into the show to draw to get the link to make it happen for, you know, maybe a Gundam or something that I need. So I can just pair it, find the link for the other card in my hand, and go ham. So this is our top end here. I guess you can kind of consider these top end, but with our strategy and the way we use our commands and pilots frivolously, because we're playing 10 pilots, which I'll get into next, our ability to link in the late game is very important. So that's how we're going to close out games, especially against more of the heavier control decks. Yeah. Anything that wants to go later than turn 7 is something that, you know, we need this to close out the game. So we are at a 2-2 split. It worked really well for me. I never had 2 of these on the board. So, like, one was almost always never seen or pitched, and then the other one won the game. So that's why I like 2, because if you do see it early and you're only playing 1, it feels really bad to let go of. But you have to. You know, you can't not play this package in this meta. So 2 feels right. The rebuild, I would love to have 3, but I don't think I can cut anything at the moment. And I don't want to go up on this top end. We want to play these cards and win with them as often as possible, and then use these when we need them. Yeah. I would even put him up here, because he's just a value card as well. We're just trying to get value here, and then close out the game here if we need it. Yeah.
So you're skipping the level 6, technically?
Yes. Well, this is level 6.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So aerial rebuild level 6 and the aerial rebuild level 7.
Got you.
Okay. So to pilots, we're playing the 2 Kira Yamato, because I think he has the best when attacking ability in the game right now. Being able to reduce 2 AP, again, works into our strategy. 1, it gives you that 5th health on some of these that are just... I had him... No, it was a Soletta, actually. All right. But, you know, pairing this with an Ale Strike to immediately get value... I just think it's one of the best pilots in the game. So we are playing 2 Kiras because I like to focus on links, on anything that has a link, and put those in there. This has a win paired ability, so we're at 4 of it because of, again, the stats. But having the 2 links, again, when you need that link to close out the game, and your opponent's like, if he just sees the link and you're top decking, boom, there it is.
Yeah.
You know, so like, especially because we can show resolve, so we can draw this and this at level, 8 or level 9 and play all of it and win the game.
Exactly.
So we definitely are there. We have our 4 Amuro Rays, the boy, of course. Links with Gundam, links with NT1. Mostly gets used on all the other units just to get value, but again, the late game, you're looking for links to close, so he does that. Again, with resting a character, super easy to get value. We are playing the 4 Soletas, which we do have the 8 links for in the deck. So while I would love to say that I'm prioritizing her more for linking, she having the 2 HP allows me to work my strategy of getting the 2-for-1s when I can. Also, setting the AP active is very valuable in this deck because I can go Nicaeus, Soleta on my level 4, but my turn 3. So this is 3 that then I immediately swing as a 4/5, or even bigger if I have the commands, but on level 3 I'm not. Restand an AP, and then spend the AP and the EX resource to either drop another one of these, or to drop this, or to drop this. And now I am so much more powerful as far as stats on board than you. You can't trade into my units, and if you tap your units, I'm going to trade favorably into them.
So how early do you tap your EX resources?
At the regional yesterday, I used it before level 5 almost every single game.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a very tricky question. A lot of people doesn't ask the question of a deck going first or going second.
Oh, I definitely need to go second.
Yeah.
The games where I went first were definitely harder. I don't have the turn 1 overflowing option, which we played 2 unforeseen and 3 overflowing. This deck used to be a 4 overflowing deck. We're down to 3 right now because discarding is hard.
Yeah.
We want everything, so discarding is very difficult in this deck.
Yeah, that's something that has a huge debate because I was a wing player, I was a blue-white player before, and a lot of big debate because I interviewed the Miami guy who top 8 in Orlando. He never played overflow before turn 3, so we want to talk more about like because there's so many times I overflow turn 1 and I was
that you can afford to really
get rid of. Because I don't have information about my opponent. So why do you overflow as early as possible?
So I'm gonna overflow as early as possible because I am looking for a very specific start to my hand. So similarly, when I'm just deciding on mulligans, I'm looking at the hand and I'm saying, how many of these cards are going to give me value before I can play a Show of Resolve? And that's really my question. And if I have 2 Show of Resolves in my hand at the start of the game, I'm not going to overflowing until I see the opponent's turn 2, whether or not they're playing units. So I'll hold this against when my hand has more higher value cards. But if my hand doesn't have low units in it, I will immediately play this card. Because if I have even 1 of the aerial rebuilds in my starting hand, it's a no-brainer.
It's a ditch.
That's going away. If I have 3 pilots in my hand and 2 units, I'm ditching a pilot. I've run 10, so I'm okay with ditching a pilot. And that's why the 2 early unforeseens. If I'm running into more commands than units early, I want to play this card as fast as possible. Also because if I discard a command, like I have 2 striker packs in hand, if I want to discard a striker pack, now I'm at 2 of the commands for the Micaeus. If I know I have Micaeus in hand, I'm working towards that as quickly as possible. So I'm going to try and get an early unforeseen trade. that might not be as much of a combat trick. I just attacked your guy and lowered it because I'm trying to get this +1/+1 as quickly as possible. If I don't see this card, you know, maybe I'll choose something else.
And plus, you can get it back with aerial. So.
And that's the other thing. You can always rebuild this card, and pitching something you can rebuild doesn't feel as bad. We are on 3 Show of Resolve. Again, originally this deck was a 4 Overflowing, 4 Show of Resolve deck. I found that I needed to play more Striker Packs, and especially in this current meta. Striker Pack, I think, is the best burst in the game. It's the only one that can give you a unit. So to me, this says my opponent attacked me, and I had no cards in hand, no cards on field. They had no life, so they felt safe attacking me because I can't link. They had a Striker Pack, I just won the game.
Yeah.
You know, or obviously being able to block with that unit can shut down an entire turn. But for me, I'm always thinking about attacking my opponent. So for me, this is the best burst you could possibly have. The downside was the fact that it doesn't work if you have one in play. So I was always straight away from 4 because it can get very clumpy. Again, another overflowing target a lot of times when I was like, I don't need this. But being able to produce a unit for 2 resources.
Yeah, especially when you stuck with a Striker Pack and you open and go Amro on the Striker Pack and they go for shield.
Yes.
And you hit another Striker Pack. That's painful to watch.
Yes, absolutely. So I always prioritize killing this unit as quickly as possible because I know I run 3. I might either draw it very quickly or I can burst it. So the first opportunity I get to trade that unit with anything, immediately. And against... I think it was only against the Wing Zero matchups that I made this. Not the Wing Zero, I'm sorry. No, it was. It was one Wing Zero matchup. One time the entire tournament, I made the 4-2.
Wow.
Because I had already dealt with 2 Sword Strikes. But yeah, other than that, this is another Lifrith in my deck, which is just an extremely well-statted unit.
So you're technically playing 7 Lifrith, so...
Yes. Yeah. And also... oftentimes there was the turn 3, play a Lifrith, sack my EX resource to play another Lifrith.
Well,
you know what I mean? So it's like, I would, against those aggro decks, you need the Lifrith. And it's their worst enemy. Yeah. So this card for me, never had it burst while I had a unit on the field yesterday. Have had it happen before and it feels terrible. The number of times where I've played a base and picked it up also happens a lot because, you know, it feels really bad, but at the same time, you just got to live for it. Yeah. You're not mad. It would have been better out of life, but you're not mad.
It's okay.
A couple times it clumped where I did have one in play and I had to wait multiple turns to lose that unit before I could replay the second one. But actually, one of the times was a time where I set up an NT where it's like, oh, we tapped that. Here, I swing with the Striker Pack. He's like, it still has 1 HP. I'm like, oh, that's great. NT. Yeah. Draw. Like, he's like, why do you have that? It's like, yes, absolutely. And it was an NT at that point.
You catch people off guard. Like,
yes, absolutely. Yeah. One Kusanagi.
Yeah. This is a love-hate relationship with me with that card because of the 4 HP, but I want to hear your opinion about that card.
Tempo. The name of this deck is Tempo. This is often being used to draw a card and remove something from the board. Almost exclusively good in the aggro matchups, obviously, which is ironic because of the fact that it only has 4 health. But with things like Unforeseen and the number of blockers you play, a lot of times you can protect this. And it bursts out of life. Again, against the blue-purple high roll, I think it has the highest high roll in the game right now where you will be dead on turn 4 or 5, almost guaranteed if they're seeing perfect flow. And this is only one of the only things that I think can stop it because, again, I can't get these units out as fast as they can. I get better trades, but I need to get them on the board, and they're going way quicker, especially with the variants that are running like 16 or more of these level 2 1-drops. So this is one of the only things that I think can answer it. I hate clumping on bases. I, for the longest time, played this deck at 5 bases because of the fact that this was the best base in the game. I still think it is.
One of the reasons why it's limited.
Yeah, right. And I feel like it hurt me more than it hurt the purple players because with the amount that I draw with this deck, I can pitch one of these to an overflowing and immediately play it, grab 2 1/1s, and then play another one and grab 2 1/1s, and then pass on the late stages of the game. And my opponent's like, "Did you just draw 2 cards and produce 4 units?" And it's like, "Yes, I did." And then I play Witch and the Bride and bounce your only blocker. And it's like, oh, that's so disgusting.
Yeah.
Again, anytime you're playing Gundam, when linked, you're powering up all of your units. So even the Leos, the number of times that I use Leos as 2/1 attackers to just trade my opponent's board, I played a base and then killed all of your units. Like, how is that fair? I understand why it's limited. But I think it hurt me more than it hurt Blue Purple. Because I don't have the resources to really use white base. Yeah. Because my units don't come off the board. They have repair, they have big butts, they stay around. So the value I get out of that is much lower. And then we played one Argama. And the Argama was because I was seeing a lot of Breach. And I like that I needed a base that only costed 1. Because sometimes you just need to draw a card, and I'll get rid of my EX base. I'll even go over my Corsica or my Kusanagi because I just need a card. And I'd rather put my life cards in my hand and let my opponent burst them, even though I'm running so many bursts. Most of the time I want that card, and I don't want to lose that resource to an attack. So I prioritize playing bases as often as I can. I think most people want to base and play. You know, it just feels healthier. Yeah.
You feel safe.
You do feel safe. Yeah. It's that like nice fuzzy feeling. So like a base that only costs 1, I can play it at level 3. You know, often it's bursting out of life, and I'm not like, oh, I didn't get my Corsica token because it burst out of life. So I love this base. Would I play 2? Not in this meta.
If wings come back, or maybe like blue green
blue green
Breach.
Xeon with Breach, some Dynamis stuff with Breach, because I mean Rick Dom is one of my favorite units. When that guy came out, I used to yell Rick Dom. I made a really fun deck with that. But you know, it answers small things like that, and with things like Zaf coming back, you're seeing more Breach as well. So like I think Argam is a safe choice. Would these very easily be 2 Corsica bases if it was allowed? Absolutely. That would be my choice. But with the current setup, I went from 5 bases to 4 because I can't play 4 of these, which I would 100%. Originally, it was 4 Corsica and 1 Argama. But with the expectation of blue-purple, and honestly, 1-year war is never dead. You can always run into that deck. So like the Kusanagi felt like the safest choice for me. And then that created one of the space for the Kira, and I don't remember what else I went up. Oh, I went up one more on the striker pack.
And we had discussion after you won yesterday. We were talking about when we switched from the deck list to from your matchup to the deck list, because you mentioned the Witch and the Bride, that you wanted to bump it up. So that goes back to the Banshee that the Unicorn and Banshee.
The Unicorn Banshee, it swung. He bottom decks the 12. I think I had a linked rebuild and an aerial rebuild on board. I was thinking I had won the game. Here comes Banshee. Here comes the link. Here goes the 12 to the bottom. And here comes the Witch and the Bride to end the turn. And then I rebuilt with the second rebuild, the Witch to my hand, and passed to my opponent saying, if you want a Banshee, you very well can, but this card answers it wholeheartedly. And they don't have any 2 HP.
Pilots.
I played against a blue-red. The white one, Atherin does have 2 HP.
Atherin and Full Frontal, that's the 2 only red pilots that has 2 HP, I believe. Maybe there's another one, but I don't
Those
think
are the 2 that you see, right? But
or the Crozet, like the Zaft that get back the base.
The base?
Yeah, that's a 5/1/2/2. So
that one is actually very good as well.
Yeah.
But that card has saved me in that matchup very much. I know it feels bad to my opponent when they put 12 on the bottom, but it feels so good on the other side.
They work so hard to go and
they're planning on that.
Curiosity, the improved techniques.
Yes.
Just
everything's back in the deck. I'm gonna draw them again, and then my whole strategy, and the board isn't gone, and now the game's over. So that was a really good one.
And how was the other matchup? Because you mentioned about the red blue, the blue perp, the wing.
So I did play 2 blue purples, three blue purples, 3 wing zeros, ironically.
Wow.
And 3 Atherin Justice decks. So it was actually really interesting. And then the one purple red. That was really interesting. A really unique list. That guy was really trying to work it, and I encourage that kind of creative deck building because he did things that I hadn't seen before. And anytime you can do that, your opponent's gonna have a harder time of forcing you to do what they want because they're not sure what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Whereas you've played a lot of the decks in the meta, by like turn 4, you feel like you know what's in your opponent's hand. They played units that they could link and didn't link them. They don't have pilots. You know? These kind of like small assumptions you can make. So the Wing Zero matchups were relatively easy, with the exception of one. I played against Strike, and his play was phenomenal. He did great. He was running the perfect strikes and actually was able to bounce a unit with it. And it was actually a Striker Pack token that he had gotten to 1. So like he played out of his mind, and I was lucky enough to get in a late show that got me the aerial rebuild with this Soletta to close out the game. It did also. The guy next to me is like, "Didn't you also have the Amro to close out the game?" I did get it, but this was way cooler, so I went with that. The draw was amazing.
This is cooler. Like finishing with a game of Amro. The number of time I top deck Amro or my opponent top deck Amro to win game, the guy didn't feel good. But if you win with that,
I'm with high maneuver.
This is so cool.
He had built up the craziest blocker wall. We had been going card for card the whole game. I kept him off being able to play Wing Zero for the longest time. And when he finally did, it was after I had established the 2 Leo tokens from the Corsica base. And he did take out 2 other units and put damage on my Ales and every other unit I hadn't played. But the main thing was he was thinking my Machias, which had 2 damage on it, was going to die. But it was linked with a... Linked with a Soletta and had the +1/+1 AP. So it was a 6 HP unit with 2 damage. And he's like, the Machias dies, right? And I'm like, no, it has 6. So I put it to 5. And he's like, oh no. And that was essentially, I had enough units now to get around him.
That's insane.
So I got lucky on that one that I just kept him off Wing Zero as long as possible. But he did a great job clearing my board consecutively, keeping me low on cards. I had to use a ton of pilots early just to get those chip damages in. I think I was out of Amuros at that point. Like I had used them on Perfect Strikes and Lifris and Rick Diaz's and Ale Strikes of his own and stuff. And it was a grind of a match. And luckily I was able to rebuild over the top.
That's insane.
But yeah, I originally built this deck to beat Wing. So if I lose to Wing, I feel really bad for myself. So no offense to any of the Wing players, you guys did great, but I built this to beat you, and then I tuned it to beat blue purple. So like, don't feel bad. I did beat all the blue purple matchups. I did beat all the Wing Zero matchups. One of the matchups that I wasn't as confident going in because I didn't have as much playtesting against it was the Atherin Control, the red-white packages. They've gotten consistently better and consistently better. I was originally a strong believer in red-white because I just love close combat. You know, in Battle of Aces, I thought, there's something here, especially with, you can run some blockers, but you can get aggressive. 2 bodies off of 1 card with Justice is just... I love going wide. I love things that give more value, so that was really appealing to me. But I just didn't have the reps with the deck. I wouldn't take it to a regional before I've had sufficient game time on a deck. Although I think that deck is very much... You kind of have to play what you have, which you're missing a key card, the Show of Resolve, to fill your hand up. So you really are playing what you have to survive early, and then hoping your top end is just so powerful that they can't catch up.
Yeah, I hate being stuck in a corner. Like
yes,
I don't like that.
So I didn't go. Although that would probably be the next deck I would pick. If I wasn't playing this, the other deck I wanted to play was red-white. So like the fact I saw it 3 times kind of confirmed for me that like into this meta, it's a great pick.
Yeah.
I first saw some of the lists that people were posting that didn't play a unit until level 5, and it was every burn card. And as a player who used to play red in Magic quite a lot, I love burn. I get to you have to wait turns for that card to do something, and I can just remove it right here. But the decks didn't really have enough draw for me, so I went with this. But that deck is really fun. I really think that that's a strong deck. So being able to beat 2 of those decks, I felt really good. And I think that most of it was just my bodies have bigger butts than most deck. The repair, they don't want to target these units, you know. And if it bursts and my only targets are a Gundam and an NT1 on the board, yeah, they're like, yeah, they take damage to that, whatever. You know, it's not great. So like, I didn't think I had a bad matchup into them. That wasn't the deck I was worried about. So we can talk about the finals at some point, but I would just want to say that the one deck I was worried about seeing is the Lupus deck.
Yeah.
And they have more HP than me, and they don't care about trading everything they have into your board every time they can. So, like, some people might think I'm at a little bit low of a unit count because we are running so much commands to get those units valuable. Lupus does a great job of holding them off from beating them early by just not caring about, here's units, here's pilots into your guys.
Yeah.
They're in the trash now? Perfect. And then when they establish that Lupus, I have very few answers to remove it. Like, I play 4 answers that can potentially remove it if set up perfectly. Like, you know, I need not only these units and linked, but maybe even Gundam buffing them an extra AP. So like that deck is very scary for me because once they establish the Lupus, if they can use those triggers more than 1 or 2 times, I can't catch up in the value game anymore.
I think the most target because I love playing purple white, and I think the most target I got with Lupus was I think 16 cards. So that was a
and it's 3 or 4 cards.
It's 3 cards for 2 pings.
Right. Yeah.
So I think I was at 16 cards in my trash, but I could have only done 15 cards because 15 cards that give me a total of that's 8. That's 10 pings.
Yes.
So
I played in a new type challenge a few weeks back, and I played against Purple Lupus with this deck, and the player was a phenomenal player. He established the Lupus trigger 5 times, so he had 15 cards as well.
Wow.
And it was like double ping that, double ping that, double ping that. You know, it was like,
it's almost like a wing zero. It's almost a wing zero where you want the damage to be.
When you want it, exactly. On a unit that's very hard for me to remove. And he also had the blockers. The 5/3 blocker that just came out is phenomenal. He was running that as well.
The 3/5. The 5/4? You mean the full city?
No, the impulse blocker.
Oh, impulse. Okay, no, he's playing the other version.
Yes, and he was just playing the mill pilots to just fill. He had less than 10 cards at the end.
Yeah, I saw that build. It was an interesting build. Like
that build at least was something where he just established 7 HP blockers more than once, and had the Lupus on board protected, and just removed everything. And eventually, I'm gonna run out of units.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happened.
That's insane.
I was like, man, I don't really have a great answer for Lupus. But I didn't think a lot of people would be on it. So I just kind of just was like, maybe I'll dodge it all day. And what happened? I dodged Lupus all day. So like, shout out to Lupus. I think you're a great deck too. I don't think I can beat you, but it didn't end up being relevant. So this was the right meta call for me. What other matchups were interesting? I had the one interesting Wing Zero, one interesting Blurple. Oh, that Blurple matchup. The first attack, I never finished the story, sorry. The first attack, he saw the Amuro. So I committed my entire board into his life. The second attack, second Amuro to hand.
Oh my god.
So now I'm really sweating because he has the ability to now choose exactly what he wants to do with my board. Because he's not, I can't leave anything back. So that's when I full committed everything. I brought him to 1 life. So I just needed to kill him because the last life was a base. So he has a base up, and I'm like, okay, I have 6 units on board. I gave him 2 Amuro, but like, what else can he do?
Yeah.
Double pairs Grandpa.
Oh my god.
All of his units have +2 AP. His 2 drops are trading into my board for 4, and the only thing that saved me is the first time he swung into my Ale Strike, I unforeseen. So he had to use one extra unit to kill my entire board. And he kills my entire board. And I'm like, and both of the Gundams are at 1 HP left, so they're going to repair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I'm out of this game now. I think I just lost. And I top decked the pilot and the Link. I had the one ail strike left. I was able to break the base and kill him. It was like, oh my gosh. And he did have the Gushin rebakes, the blocker. And I had Witch and the Brided it. And it was like on his end step. So like I did have one play that gave me a little bit of leeway. But yeah, no, that incredible match. That was a really fun one.
So you actually counting on that only top deck possible to win the game. So you just switched to ride the blocker.
Yep.
That's preventing you from winning.
Yeah, and I had the pilot, so I just needed the unit, and I had an Amuro and a because he had two blocker. No, he didn't have two blockers. He just had the one blocker. But I had the Amuro and the Soletta in hand, and I was like, I have so many links in this deck for both of those units. If I hit any of them, I win. So I went for my out there and bounced the blocker because it was the only unit he had played that turn. But yeah, no, an incredible blue-purple matchup. I thought it was cooked, and luckily I got there with that one.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
Yeah, well, you run 8 links for Soletta and you run 5 for Amuro. So like, if you end up with these pilot-heavy hands, all you need is a show or an overflowing or something, and now you have the game. So like, I like to run units with links.
Yeah.
And you know, it just so happens that the links for Amuro are some of the best in the game, and I think these are some of the better possible options for linking in the game as well. So like the Soletta being such a powerful link for 8 targets just gives me more outs in that late game, because I want to trade favorably early, get you low, and then link. I don't usually link as much early unless it's the on-curve Gundam Amuro pair. So there was a really interesting wing matchup, a really interesting blurple matchup. I think we really just get into the finals now, unfortunately.
Into the final, yeah.
I didn't struggle at all with either of the 2 previous red-white decks that I played against, so I really didn't think much of it going into the final. I didn't know what my opponent was on, so someone was like, I think it was Blurple, so I'm like, okay, I'm hoping I get some early guys, but I always want early guys, so I was kind of looking for that. First hand comes up, and it's like 2 show of resolves
and pilots. And...
I think I had Witch and the Bride, and like no, it was 2 unforeseens, a show of resolve, a Witch and the Bride, and a pilot. I think it was the Kira. And I was like, no, immediately to the bottom. Okay, we draw our next hand, and it was another show, 2 pilots. I think I got 1 of each, and then like a Machias. And I'm like, okay, well, at least I got a Machias. But you know, at that point you're stuck. You don't have a choice. You're playing the game. My first draw is another pilot. I'm like, okay, well, I look at the judge. I'm like, what did you do to my deck? Because this is the 3rd time that they had taken my deck. The first
same day?
time, yeah. So after each round, they were like deck checking.
Yeah.
After round like 6, they made me change my sleeves to these. So now my deck's sliding all around, and my opponent sits down. He's like, they made me change my deck sleeves too. I was like, all right, whatever. And I asked, I was like, there were no more cards. There was nothing. No. You had no issues with your sleeves. Some of them were starting to like wear off and peel a little bit because I had Black Lotus sleeves. And so I was like, I know these guys. I'm the same way. I don't really like sleeves with images on them anyway, because it's harder to shuffle. Sometimes they get crimped or whatever. But anyway, I changed my sleeves. Then as we got closer and closer to the finals, because the rounds could end because of a pair down, each round they'd like did a deck check where they just held my deck until the next round. And they're like, do a good shuffle because we put it in order. They told me after the first deck check that my deck was fine. It matched my deck list. Everything's there. Everything's good. Then they deck checked me again. And then in the finals, they deck checked me again. They held my deck, and then they brought both of the competitors' decks to the table at the end. And we're like, shuffle your deck. So I gave it more rifles than I normally do. And this is where I feel like I made a mistake. I think I should have been like, you guys have been handling my deck. It was in order at one point. I need to do a pile shuffle. Do I have time to do a pile shuffle? And then I'm going to do sufficient rifle shuffles to make sure the deck's actually randomized. And I think I was just a little bit caught up in the moment. There was a lot of people at that point. And, I'm just shuffling.
At first, it was only me and 2 of your friends.
Yeah.
And after that, 4 more people, 5 more people. Like, everybody was surrounding the table.
Well, at that point, you've heard all this all day about this academy deck. You're like, what the fuck is that? I want to go see it,
Yeah.
And so, for me, it was so disappointing. This is one of my biggest regrets. Is that I feel like people came, they finally got the chance to come see this academy deck.
And you're bricked.
And I'm bricked. And, the next one's a base. And I'm like, I can't wait. I need to send this now. I need to see anything. I did get one other unit. I can't remember if it was a Lifrith or a Rick Diaz. It was one of these 2 and a Macias. And those are the only 2 units I saw the entire game.
It was the Alfred. I remember like you put like an Amro or a Soletta behind it.
Yeah, I think it was a Soletta actually. Yeah, because I wanted the extra untap because I was playing.
Oh no, it was the Kira behind the Alfred and the Soletta on the
Macias. Yes, because I think I dropped those on the same turn.
Yeah,
doing exactly what I was talking about. Because I wanted to get aggressive because I knew I didn't have units, and I was going to use my pilots immediately to get extra value out of those units because I didn't want them to die.
And after that, I saw you do the show, and after that, I saw you face. You were like,
I drew 2 pilots. I drew 2 pilots, and I'm like, no way. So I play the Corsica base. It's a Kusanagi. I'm like, okay. I rip the Kusanagi immediately. Don't even care. I know I'm playing against red-white at this point. So I'm like, I don't care. They're not going to deal damage to me until the late game. I need these resources. Kusanagi, it's another pilot. But this is when the judge, I was just like, man, what is going on right now? And the judge is like, you have 5 pilots in hand at this point.
That's one rule of thumb that whenever I build a deck is I'm going to brick the first 3 games.
Right.
Like that's what happened. Like, because my cards are so in order that I no matter how much I shuffle, I always lose my 3 games because I'm
until
breaking
the deck kind of gets cleared. Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like I probably should have taken a minute, pile shuffled the deck, really randomized it, and given it a lot more, maybe even just 50 more rifle shuffles. I think I did like 25 or something while I was talking with the judges, catching up with my opponent. I've played Magic for a long time, so I've shuffled a million times. So like, if my deck's not in order, probably would have been sufficient. The judge had said originally, like, we shuffled it a little bit, so, but still give it a good shuffle. And so I took that as like, it's not in order, but you can spend a little more time shuffling. And I think I made the mistake not to pile shuffle. Yeah. So my biggest regret is that the players that came to that match to see this deck got to see nothing. It made me feel a little bad, but you know what?
But I watched it. I know Gundam. Like, I do content about Gundam. So I know that, like, by looking at the stats of the units, I'm like, you lost only because you bricked.
Yes.
You had all the outs possible, and you grind that game
I actually
very
got some
far.
damage in. I can't believe how much damage I actually was able to with 2 units. I might have had a striker pack unit at one point. It's hard to remember.
I think you put the Amro on the striker pack token.
Yes,
and I was like, okay, he really had so much pilot that he needs to save his unit. So I was like, okay, like he did everything he could.
I could. But again, there's so much removal on the red-white deck that like, you need a good amount of units. So, and I didn't see the value units that I needed. The repairs would have been big. Anything, honestly. Yeah. So, like, the first hand was a brick. The second hand was definitely a brick. It got brickier throughout the match. I can't really say anything about my opponent. I don't really remember what he did because I was so frustrated with what I was doing.
I think at a certain point he had a justice or something. He
did get a justice.
And
I think I witched his token.
Yeah, you witched his token. And at some point, I think like I left, but I saw, I think like it's a Providence. Or I forgot what it was, like a big red unit.
The G-Quux.
The G-Quux, and he popped your board, and like, that was
at
like,
that point there was no recovery. So like, but I kind of knew. After the beginning of the game, the first base into the base into the pilot, I kind of
he knew. You gave him the information
and I
that you were
actually did
breaking.
get to bounce something with the Kusanagi. I think I his striker pack token or something.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but like, because I was in and out. Like,
I managed to get a token bounce off of the Kusanagi at least, which was slightly more. I had to like attack into that to untap a resource to get it low enough that I could Kusanagi it or something. I think it was a Lifrith or something. that I just tried to threaten life, and I knew he was going to block with the striker pack so I could set up the Kusanagi. But when it was another pilot, I was just heartbroken. So I'm sad for all those players that showed up to see what this deck can do. I promise it does more than that.
Yeah. I wish it was on stream because people can see your hand and understand what happened, because you were sitting on the other side of the curtains, so people couldn't see your hand, and people were like, what the hell are you doing? But but if it was on stream, people will see that you have like 5 pilots. People were like, okay, he breaks.
I've been in this situation. This is the worst. So no, I feel regretful that match wasn't more entertaining. You know, I think it could have been really fun, especially because my opponent seemed extremely capable. I don't want to say anything about him that would be negative, because like my deck bricked. He played great, honestly, and he played great all day.
He was an EXO player. He was an EXO player.
Yeah. So like I don't know that I would have won that game if both of us drew well, but based on the results, I don't think I'm scared of that matchup. You know, so like it felt a little bad, but at the same time, I had so much fun, and I met so many cool people. It was every round my opponent would come up, "Are you still winning?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "I'm still X1." I'm like, "We're going to Nats. I'm taking you with me." You know, so like I had multiple
carry me. Like every time, like I think all 3 regionals I did, like this was the only time that I went all the way to XO to round 3, but I always lost my game 1 to a very, very good player. Like we grinding like all the way. I'm going to say, carry me, please, carry me. Like
that actually happened in today's UA regional. My round 1 opponent beat me, but we were having so much fun with the game. He was almost narrating his situation. He's like, if I do this, I lose my unit, and I draw 2 cards, and if the card I need isn't in those 2 cards, I lose the game. Whereas I could just trade and you lose your board and I don't lose mine, and you go to 1 life. Or I could sacrifice this to draw the 2 cards. If it's not there, I lose the game. And I'm like, well, I don't know. You have to decide. And he decides to do it, draws the exact cards he needs, wins the game. And I lost round 1. And then I was like, dude, he had a completely unique list, which is actually kind of unique to Union Arena. There's less flexibility, which is why I like Gundam a little bit more. I feel like there's a lot more creativity and way to play to your unique play style, where you can tune your deck to what you want to do and then play to those outs, play to those lines a little bit more. But I was like, unique list, this guy just cooked me. I think you're going all the way, man. You're winning the whole event. And I was like, my plan is just to go X1 the whole day, and we're going together. And I held up my end of the bargain. I went X1. I got my Nat invite for Union Arena today as well. He did not. So, you know, it was still fun for a while, but then I was like, man, you gotta win. I need those tiebreakers. So like, but the camaraderie that I felt, the Gundam community is so cool, you know? So like, I made more friends today or yesterday than in a lot of the previous regionals.
And I met you.
Exactly. And one of the coolest things I find about this deck in particular is the number of players that come up to me and like, Academy? Dude, I've been trying to make that work. Send me your list. You're doing what with Academy? That's my favorite archetype. That's my favorite strategy. I want to make it work. And one player came up to me and was like, I was originally going to bring my Academy deck, and I switched last minute to play Red, White, Justice. And he didn't do so well with Red, White, Justice. And he's like, he saw this list, and he's like, dude, I should have just played Academy. He's like, I was ready to quit the game, but you coming in 3rd with that deck reinvigorated me. I'm going back to Academy, and I'm playing it until I'm winning. And I'm like, that's what you should do, you know? Get the reps on the deck you like, because you're going to have more fun when you win.
That's the same thing exactly like me. I switched last minute to switch from purple white to blue purp because I was like, I wanted my invite so bad.
Best deck in format.
So like, I think I should have just stick with purple white, because I think in this format you can win with almost anything if you play it correctly. So
and it really comes down to, if you can get those efficient trades. Gundam is a very math game in my opinion, where like you can see the value of almost everything, and there's not a whole lot of combat tricks like Unforeseen or Witch in the Ride, and they're almost kind of exclusively in, you know, white or red, where you have the combat tricks with improved technique or close combat. Some people are running like the +3 to a blocker in blue, and I think that's a really interesting card. If you can get the value out of that card and it makes sense, it's great. So like, most of the time you can tell pretty early on by the trades who's going to win a match.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to, can they draw out of their mind to like get out of this
You
situation?
draw the nuts.
Can you draw the nuts to get out of this situation?
Yeah.
Where you need to 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 me now to get back into the game. So I feel like Gundam is very flexible in that, where it's you want to focus on not bricking first because the mulligan rule is so strict. You're only seeing 5 cards. You get one chance to redraw. So like, if your goal is to not die early by having units, you need to have enough of those units that you're going to see the amount you want early, which means you have to go heavy on those units, which doesn't leave a lot of top end room in a lot of decks. But maybe you subsidize that with other cards to allow you to play, you know, multiple of those Justice, multiple of those Psycoms or Providences or Wing Zeros, you know, these big cards that have big power. They require you to have the curve still, so like
to survive until that time.
Yes, exactly. So I think Gundam's very unique in the card space, in that there's a lot of creativity and flexibility and player skill. I think player skill is more shown in this game than some of the other Bandai card games. I'll just put it that way. Like I said, I've been a long time Magic player, so like I'm very accustomed to deck building, and that's where I find the most fun in card games is thinking about the possibilities and then coming up with a way to express that actually works. And, you know, I've probably put in 3 metas, I've probably put close to 500 games into this deck.
Oh shit, that's
so like the amount of edits that I've done to get to this point, it's like, you know, I feel myself wanting for that. Let's try it. You know, let's add more of this. Let's add more of that. And I think that's something everyone should do because there's this, I want to call it an epidemic of net decking. And, you know, everyone has their own opinions on net decking. And I know even some of my own friends are not people who like to build decks. Where like you see a deck online, you're like, I like that, I want to play it. But if you didn't build the deck, if you didn't put in these cards for this situation, you might not be playing it correctly. So now you need a lot of reps or a coach that came up with that deck, in my opinion, to help you understand how that's going to work. Because like you might not be burning that EX resource on turn 3 to get 2 units out because you're like, oh, I can play Ailstrike 1 turn earlier. But if that Ailstrike is not going to benefit you by playing it 1 turn earlier, and this is more beneficial in the now, maybe that's the right play. But if you're waiting for a Wing Zero, maybe it's not the right play. So like you need to have the reps and you need to understand the strategy of the deck if you want to do well. So I think that a lot of this blue-purple best decking format where you see a lot of people on the same deck comes down to the lack of creativity of some players and wanting to build their own deck, but also in the fact that that deck is so consistent that without many, you know, understandings of how the cards necessarily need to be played in what sequence, the deck can kind of just do well even on the low roll. The high roll's insane, and the deck kind of almost feels like it plays itself a little, but you'll see the difference between, you know, a blue-purple player who hasn't played a lot of reps and a blue-purple player who has put a ton of time into the game and has tuned their deck for the meta that they're seeing. And you'll see different ratios and different cards because they're tuning to the decks that they want to play. And then when you download that deck list and build it, and then you don't see the same meta that they saw, you're like, why does this deck suck? Or am I just a bad player? And it's neither. It's they tuned that deck for this meta, and then you saw this. You know, so like you can't beat yourself up if, you know, deck building is not your thing. Find someone who is a deck builder. Play the list that they explain to you, and I feel like you'll improve in the game. You know, so like that's one of the things that I feel I have an advantage over a lot of players because I've been building decks since 1996. Playing Magic, and I'm old obviously, so like, so playing a game like Magic, which I still think is the most player-intensive, skill-based game out, gave me a lot of the tools that I needed to be able to evaluate cards quickly and say, this is the value of that, that's why it's good, this is what I need to do to beat it or to include it. So I feel like that's one of the skills that any player in Gundam can really work on to improve their gameplay.
All right. So do you have anything else to add to conclude this video?
I just wanted to shout out HQ Gaming again. We're going to be adding more to our Gundam channel as well. We play UA.
Yeah.
I want to encourage more people to test with Academy, tell what they think. And I don't know. Do you have any other questions?
No, that's you did like very like in-depth breakdown of your deck. So
I'll say that the general strategy is go wide with blockers because blockers have more HP and also have more value on the turns you're not swinging.
Excellent. And thank you very much. And congratulations again for your prizes all over here. And
we'll be in Nats.
Yeah, we'll see you in Nats. Thank you.
Man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. And how can we find you?
You can find me HQ-KenSama. We have a Discord for Team HQ. I'm Kenneth Draper, and all of the Gundam community groups on Facebook. You can find me there.
I'll put the link in the description.
And I'll send you our YouTube as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Man.
Bye.